Shalom. My name is Dr. Tovah Goldfine, and this is TMS RoundTable Recovery. Good afternoon, good evening from different parts of the world, possibly even good morning from my heart and home to your heart and home. So for some of you who don't know much about what we're doing here each week, this is TMS RoundTable Recovery, and we have been streaming live weekly for close to 7 years, meeting with doctors and health professionals and scientists and neuroscientists and authors and movie directors and many individuals that have recovered from autoimmune disease and chronic pain, and many that are on their recovery journey. They come and they share with us inspirational, educational. That's what our job is. Today's broadcasts, coffee or tea with Dr. Tovah. Bring your fear and anger and sadness to the table. Let's get chemical and talk about getting better at feeling, and then we will feel better. We will be interacting with members from YouTube and the Facebook. There'll be some questions. I would love to hear where you're from. And if I can't get to your question tonight, or I need to get some further resources, please reach out on YouTube or my Facebook page or Facebook Messenger. And you can write your questions there and we will absolutely address them. So let's get started. What do feelings have to do with it anyway? Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? So connecting with your feelings promotes safety. You know, we learn this and we know now it's not woo-woo. It's very, very scientific. By intentionally connecting with and processing your emotions, you send signals of safety to your nervous system, which helps restore balance and equilibrium to your autonomic nervous system. As well, it regulates your fight and flight mechanism, draws you from sympathetic to parasympathetic, rest and digest. So emotional processing calms the fight or flight mechanism. When you respond rather than react, when you repress or ignore difficult emotions, your nervous system gets hijacked. It stays in a high alert, interpreting this emotional tension in your unconscious mind, in your body, as a threat. Acknowledging and feeling these emotions rather than suppressing them allows your system to move through the experience and signal that the threat is no longer present. Deep connection activates the vagus nerve. This nerve they call the wanderer. It's linked to every organ and tissue and gland of your body. And the system of the vagus nerve can be activated by breathing deeply, by connecting with your feelings, by acknowledging, by awareness, by connecting with others, by being social, by bringing a deep, compassionate connection to yourself. This process sends a message of safety to your nervous system and throughout the entire body. So we're going to talk more about this, self-awareness, meditation, journaling, because these are the insights that help you connect to those deep emotions, bring them to the table, bring them to surface, have a relationship with them, even though it's a bit scary and uncomfortable. I was just talking to Michael Galinsky about kind of getting comfortable with your discomfort. And we were talking about when you get into a cold shower, you're kind of like uncomfortable, but you teach the brain, this may be about the ice baths, you teach the brain that you're capable of being comfortable in something like a cold shower or an ice bath. And then you build that pathway that you can deal with emotions that might be uncomfortable because they're not dangerous, but we've kind of made them dangerous. So here we can unpack that and talk about it a little bit more in the broadcast. So I'm going to go to the questions but feel free to reach out. Again, let me know where you're from. So happy to be here with you, drinking some coffee or some tea. Okay, let's see here. Question from Catherine. It can be really difficult to connect with fear, sadness, anger. I don't know why it's so difficult to cross the bridge from the subconscious to the conscious. Catherine, okay, how can I find out what is wrong or emotion hidden? Yes, I saw this question on the Facebook feed page this week, and I'm really happy that you brought it here. So, Brian, can you leave the question up there, the first part of the question? Thank you. So what happens is that the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, they are connected. And I like to call it, let's create a bridge. Because right now the conscious mind kind of reacts to the unconscious mind. And we want to build a response mechanism or a peaceful road. Okay? And so the conscious mind, or the brain per se, the nervous system, your fight and flight, it will perceive you repressing the emotions. It will perceive a possible threat. It will sense the tension in your body. And there's scientific words to it. I'm breaking it down. It will sense what's going on. Like I always say, we're triggered and the amygdala's kind of protecting us, and then it activates the forefront brain, the lizard brain, to protect us. So the amygdala is sensing these emotions or tension down in the unconscious mind. So we need to literally know ourselves, or what I say, build a bridge. Understand, first of all, what's going on. Go to the symptom. The symptom in your body will tell you something's going on. Number two, evidence. You're okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. MRIs are fine. Doctor said you're fine. Even if there is something going on, these methods work. So you go ahead, evidence. Second or third thing, what thought triggered? What thought triggered you? Stay with me. What is the symptom saying? What's the message of the symptoms? They all have a message. And if you don't know the message, it's okay too. But there is a message. The brain's protecting you for a reason. The third thing is, what deeper feeling? And here's where we can access the feeling. Go to that place in the unconscious. Imagine you going down there to kind of pull something to the surface and say, okay, I'm putting it on the table. What is the deep feeling that's activating my brain to create conscious threat, to put me in threat physiology? Let me become aware. Let me understand, get clarity, like Dan Buglio says, of what's going on, the players. So when I mention emotions, write this down. There's 4 or 5 core emotions that we've studied can activate this amygdala or the lizard brain. Sadness, fear, anger, guilt, shame, rage or anger. Even love is a core emotion, but the brain doesn't always know if you're excited or you're scared. That's another topic. So it's got to be one of those emotions. And rather than trying to figure it out or fix things or focus on it, just know that your brain is perceiving this threat, a false threat, putting you in this state. And by activating, processing, getting clarity of what emotion might be repressed, it helps the process. It draws a bridge from the conscious and the unconscious mind. So, Catherine, I hope I've answered that. And I'd love to unpack that with you a little bit more, maybe on the Facebook feed, or you feel free to reach out and have a free discovery call and we can talk about it. As you guys can see, I never get tired of talking about this stuff. Okay, next question. Why does my healing never feel like a straight line? I'll make progress and then suddenly crash again. So, I ask often to my mentors and the people I study with, and when I speak with the other coaches, we're often talking about when we get stuck, or when we get, when we feel good, and then we don't feel good, or we crash again, because we all want a consistent line. We want to just feel good and get on with our life. So what happens is that the healing with it never feel like a straight line. So first of all, this is not a science. This is not black or white. This is not linear, as they say. It's not linear. We don't heal linear. We ebb and flow. And I think it's most important to accept that, what I call universal law of nature, that it will be an ebb and flow, and that if it was a straight line, I don't think your nervous system would handle that so well either. It's just my opinion. But more so, how about that you learn how to respond to the ups and downs? How about if you learn this, and this is the new neural pathway. Let me rephrase that. When Alan Gordon talks about outcome independence, what's happening? We are expecting something to happen. So what about if we use outcome independence, Maya, and we just wake up each day, and like Winnie the Pooh says, it's just a day, rather than a good day or a bad day, or we win or we lose. How about that it's just a day, and that we kind of lower our bar, lower our expectation, and just accept what's happening? Because when we accept what's happening, the ebbs and the flows, then we get the straight line. That's the nervous system secret. The minute we stop focusing on it, or fixing it, or figuring it out, or fighting it, the symptoms stop. So I think part of it is a focus, and part of it is an acceptance and an awareness, having outcome independence, that it's okay if certain days we're ebbing or flowing deeper. I think it's a real game of acceptance, radical acceptance. I just cut off a long toxic relationship and left my husband. I know this was necessary, but now the emotions and symptoms are overwhelming. I was hoping this would help me feel safer, but now it feels like too much. How do I move forward? So, Jennifer, I really appreciate you asking and being vulnerable here and trusting this community, which is a safe and very integral, authentic world that we live in. Lots of support here. There's pros and cons. You decided to take care of yourself and leave your marriage. And you said, I know this was necessary. So you made a decision. Rose, my prior host, may she rest in peace, would always say, put on your big girl pants. Okay, because now you're an adult. You made a choice. It was toxic. But now the emotions and symptoms are overwhelming. Of course, because the nervous system was protecting you. It was toxic. You were living in a state of threat. And what happens is, once you remove the threat, the brain is still protecting you. We see that happen. So first of all, patience. Please give it time. Please give yourself enormous compassion. You are strong. You made a life decision, a milestone in your life, to move on and make room for a really positive relationship. And I think what happens is that the brain is still perceiving this threat. And your job would be to continue to bring calm and safety to do it in every way possible, through meditation, through journaling, writing about, even though your relationship was toxic, it could be that you're missing the attention. So you have to come home to yourself and sort of uncover these deep emotions that might still be there, of abandonment, of being alone, of really, making this decision, which you knew was right, you said necessary, but the doubt you might have had, and also the brave and courageous thing that you did. Sometimes the brain doesn't differentiate between brave and courageous and fighting or resisting. It just protects. So stay with this. You did a wonderful thing for yourself. And I always say that God kind of closes a window and opens up a door. And so just wait for the door to open. I'm sure that it will. Blessings on your healing journey. Next question. Hi, Rosie. My knees and shoulders are locked for the last few months. I'm 100% sure it's TMS. The pain is high every day. I follow Dan and you and others, yet the pain continues. What am I missing? Your body's protecting you. Your body's not punishing you. And sometimes you have to go down deep to that place of why your brain and nervous system keep you in a state, a hijacked state of fight or flight. There's a reason. And guess what, Rosie? Even if you don't come up with the reason right away, that's okay. Don't fight. Don't resist. Know that your brain and nervous system are in a pain-fear cycle, maybe an anger pain cycle, maybe a sadness pain cycle. And I remember speaking to you, you had relief, you had remission. So trust that you're just in this cycle and there's something you have to learn. And I'm going to bring in the quantum, which is number one, you're the placebo. You have inside of you an entire pharmacy. You deep breathe, diaphragmic breaths, meditate, journal, try to get a little exercise, a little movement, whatever you can do, even if it's your toes. You can create safety and calm. And so if you can, even mental rehearsal, if you can't move your shoulders and you're locked, you can imagine that your fingers are moving and that your arms are moving and that your shoulders are moving. And this is science that they've studied, that if I imagine my muscles are moving and I have some electrodes on my head, they've studied that they watch the muscles moving just from my imagination. This is phenomenal science. I can send you some research. Dr. Brad Fanistil talks about this, and it's a lot in the Joe Dispenza books about they were imagining playing the piano, and then when these members of this research project played the piano, they knew what they were playing because they imagined it. Stuff like this that I read about, I can't hold all this in my brain. It's going to explode. But more important is, I know you're being positive. And look, we can't fake that. If the brain and nervous system, the unconscious mind senses a threat, it's going to lock up your shoulders. So keep practicing. Keep practicing. Dan says life gets lifey, but persistence, repetition, 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 belief. More about the quantum is about you being the placebo. So when you breathe deeply, you activate the pharmacy inside of you, anti-anxiety chemicals. Here's where we're getting chemical. When we breathe deeply, diaphragmic breaths in through our nose, out through our mouth, we are actually activating various chemicals, everything from cannabis to oxytocin to endorphins to Prozac to, of course, we're even cocaine, even various chemicals. We are activating an entire pharmacy, anti-inflammatory, anti-muscle relaxing, just by breathing. We have that ability. And when we are connected deeply to our feelings and feeling compassionate and love and gratitude, we're activating those chemicals. That's what Joe Dispenza talks about. He studies that when we're gracious and feeling compassion and belief, that we are absolutely getting chemical. And I know now you're struggling and suffering, Rosie, and it may be hard to smile. But you know what? When we imagine and kind of fake it till we make it, the brain doesn't know the difference. You can build a new pathway, and you've done it before. I know you can do it again. Sending you blessings from my heart and home to yours, Rosie. Next question, Bri. Yeah. That's the frustrating thing, that we don't know why the brain is still protecting us, even though we do the work. Good point, Patty. Trying everything to make it feel safe, but there is no change. Okay. Good point. Now, this is going to be some tough love. And I've had this tough love to me, and because I try a lot to do things and I don't do it. And I've been told that I try too hard. And then I don't, it's like missing the forest from the trees. So let's shift that word trying, because John Bradshaw, remember him? He was this alcoholic that went sober, and he was doing these things on PBS when I was in America. Anyway, he used to say, trying is dying. And I'll never forget that. Let's shift the word trying to, I'm doing the best I can. I'm showing up. I'm being accountable. I believe I'm doing the work. But there's something I need to uncover. There's something I'm not seeing. I'm human. But you know what? I showed up for myself. I'm accountable. I'm doing the best I can. Tomorrow I'll do better. And it is this repetition. And I'm now taking a course with Dr. Lumley and Dr. Schrubener on EAET. And, there's nothing new under the sun. This is what we're talking about when it comes to the emotions. I'm sort of waiting for something new. Repetition. We need to be compassionate and loving. And, I wrote something down from the course because Dr. Schrubener, it's also in his book, Unlearn Your Pain. He says to look in the mirror every day and say, I'm healthy. I'm strong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. I know I will get better. It will take time. I'm safe. I'm not in danger. I'll be fine. And Dr. Schrubener, who was like the kindest, most humble human being, this brilliant doctor, writing 100 papers and books, is just bringing us down to what Charlie Merrill calls agency, just speaking to ourselves, being our own agent, being authentic. And I think part of us, and I've been through this, have a hard time being that authentic self to ourselves. We're embarrassed or we're ashamed, but the pain is speaking to you and saying, come close to me, love me, be compassionate to oneself, love a body that's even you don't like. And I go on the record and I say, even the parts of you aren't comfortable with and you don't really like, you're going to have to love that. Yep, you're going to have to love that. And whatever arises, love that. That's radical acceptance. So in answer to your question, let's just get chemical. Let's get mushy, compassionate, loving. Look in the mirror. It's not easy. And say, I love you, body. I know you're not punishing me, and I'm with you all the way. Next question, Bri. I guess it pours when it rains. I've been hit with a major flare-up. It kind of creeped up on me. I know, Rudy. Rudy, it didn't creep up on you. It was just clawing at your hip. Your new hip. I know you just got surgery. Lots of stomach distress, lots of face and jaw pain. These are the two ones that are always with me. You know, Rudy, you're such a strong and sensitive, beautiful human being. You're a passionate human being. And sometimes I know this is cliche, but we're our worst enemy. And yet there's power in that, because the person that brought on that jaw tension is the person that can bring compassion and love. And think about what's going on in the jaw. Think about the place where the sensation is. And I always lean into the Louise Hay work, and you can look up and see what jaw pain means or what tension means in the jaw. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to express? More important is there's something there. There's some reason your brain and nervous system are protecting you. And I know you got a new hip. And if your hip's not hurting, well, then something else is hurting. So you got to go deeper, bro. You got to just go deeper. And you know what? At least you know where you got to go. You just got to dig deeper. You dig deeper into that place of love and kindness and compassion in the unconscious mind. There's probably just some little bit of feelings still hanging out there. Thank you for always showing up, Rudy. Next question. Yeah, I remembered you. Oh. Thank you, Rosie. I believe in you 100%. What's one gentle way to start connecting with my emotions if I've spent years avoiding them? Wow, I love that. And I'm going to bring up something that I wrote out, because there's some information. And by the way, I can send you something. I don't always put everything on the Facebook page. Like I have a Word doc and some PDFs you can't upload. So if anybody wants some insights on how to connect to your deep emotions, or how to build a new habit and build a new pathway, I list about 6 or 7 insights or psychological tools that if we did this every day, then first of all, I believe your symptoms would get less, but we would be building a new pathway. So I like to say that if you did these 7 things throughout the day, or a little bit each day, or 10 minutes in the morning, or 10 minutes in the afternoon, or 10 minutes at night, you'd be building a new pathway. You'd be basically neurons that fire together, wire together. You'd be absolutely saying a new narrative. And this is all the work that we've been talking about, but I list it like this. And I learned it from Sarno, from Hanscom, from Schubiner, from Schechter. I learned it from the docs. And this is what we teach you. Number 1, knowledge. Now, a lot of us are real knowledge heavy. We like living from here up. I think we talked about that with Dan, like living from here up. Maybe it was Simone last week, and not going down here. We're all very intellectual, and all you people are brilliant people, smart and sensitive. The knowledge is important, applying and implementing the knowledge. 2, journaling. Now, again, journaling may not work for everyone, but stay with it. What journaling does is it separates the thoughts from here to the paper. It just lightens up your mind. It just gets everything out, puts it on the paper. Neurologically, there's changes happening. This is science, and I can send you that science, that when you write with your hand, either like this, you can actually write like this, the research shows, or a pen and paper, not on your texting, not on your computer, doesn't work. Writing it down neurologically changes things. And when we separate our thoughts from our mind to the paper, something happens. Now, for some of us, rip up the paper and throw it away. And for many of you where the journaling isn't working so well, that's okay. Just visit the journal once in a while. You don't have to do it. It's not necessary, but this is one of 7 things that will help change your brain, build a new pathway, and then you become the pilot. Okay. 2, 1, knowledge. 2, journaling. 3, meditation or mindful moments. Meditating, awareness. This is a whole topic in its own. We talked about it. You're not Dalai Lamas on the mountain. You're not gurus. You don't have to sit cross-legged in a corner, but to be mindful through the day, to create a meditation practice. It's very, very powerful. Even just to sit, I take out my prayer book and I'll stand outside for a few minutes and I'll just pause, and it just immediately brings calm, safety, pulling you from sympathetic fight or flight to parasympathetic rest and digest. Knowledge, journaling, meditation. I'm a big believer of exercise, regular, 3 to 4 times a week for the rest of your life. You know, you can get a new husband if you need one. You can get a new car. If you need one, you can get a new washer if it breaks down. But a body, this is holy. And it's one body. And I know we are bionic and we can get new bodies and new hearts and new knees and new hips, but this is really a body that's continually working for you all the time, healing over and over again, this innate intelligence inside of us all. It's keeping your heart rate going, keeping your stomach digesting. You're not telling it what to do. That's innate intelligence. Exercising is important. Like I say, it can be around the dining room table. It can be wiggling your toes. Keep the body moving, whatever it takes. I'm really in favor of Tai Chi, Qigong. It's energetic. It's incredibly powerful for healing pain and disease. I've met people that have done this. They've gone to China and Japan. We can just go to YouTube and do amazing workouts. Movement is so important. Our bodies were made to move. It's a very important way to activate our feelings, to get in touch with our body. Knowledge, journaling, meditation, movement. The next thing is understanding the threat safety physiology. Again, I learned a lot about this with the PRT work and then studying with Dr. Hanscom. Basically, we live in a state of threat and we come out of it. A lot of us are doing that all the time. We go in and we come out. Sometimes we get stuck and the brain is perceiving a fire, a lion coming, and all it is your husband coming home or your daughter calling on the phone or some pain or symptom that you now understand is just an expression of a perceived threat. So to understand how to bring safety and calm, which we talk about all the time, is this threat safety physiology. Another important insight, if you practice it daily, you'll be carving that new pathway. The last couple insights on this sheet about creating new habits is compassion and gratitude. And we talk about it all the time. Bringing compassion, the science of compassion, the science of gratitude. So I hope that answered your question. I sometimes get off because I get really passionate about this stuff. I've always been told to stay positive. How do I allow sadness without feeling like I'm doing healing wrong? Wow. This sort of, positive affirmations and being positive and faking it till you make it. It's not for everybody. Some people feel that doesn't work for them. And someone else, like Dr. Hanscom, doesn't think positive affirmations work. But then we were interviewing a woman who healed her CRPS, and she believes affirmations is what helped her. So I think it's so individual and unique. So you've been told to stay positive, but how do I allow sadness without feeling like I'm doing something wrong? This is a really great question. I don't believe also, and Rose taught me this, that like sadness is a negative emotion and like happiness is a positive emotion. They're just emotions. We need sadness. We need fear. We need anger. How do we address those different kind of emotions in a healthy way? And I think what you're asking is more awareness. I think if you become just more aware that you're sad, or you just accept that you're sad, that's the way out. You don't have to fake being positive or negative. But if you're feeling sadness and you've been told to be positive, I'd rather not kind of like point the finger like, oh, just be positive. I think the awareness of that, you're feeling sadness, you're feeling anger. Okay, let's just accept that you're there. A lot of the research is just about awareness. We're not here to get rid of our fear or to get rid of our anger or to get rid of our sadness. We're here to embrace it. Daniel, what is that sadness saying? What's underneath that sadness? And you know what? If you don't want to be positive, that's not the reason why you're having pain. Look, I like this one infographic that I read, which is for every negative thought, write down 3 positive thoughts. I think sometimes we have a narrative, and a narrative is a really important thing because your body hears your thoughts. Your cells are listening, as they say. So if there are no more questions right now, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about, I see a few more questions, but let me just go to something I want to say about, first of all, I wanted to share something. I have a few more things to talk to about bringing your feelings to the table, but I wanted to talk a little bit about something I've been thinking about. And I've been talking to a few other coaches and getting some ideas. And I'm wondering how some of you might feel about a group therapy, online, on Zoom, coming together with a small, intimate group, helping you with the neuroplastic methods, answer some of these questions more personal, more one-on-one, practicing the meditations, practicing some of the journaling prompts, definitely practicing pain reprocessing therapy, which I'm just passionate about, which is a somatic tracking technique, which is a very valuable, scientifically proven technique to change your brain. So, when I think about this group, I've spoken to Dr. Hanscom about lots of studies that he's done about community and social connection, and that when we create safety through social connection, we can literally build new neural pathways. And there is some science about that, and I'm happy to share it with you. We all know we feel better when we're in community. So many times clients say to me that their symptoms went away when they were socializing, or their symptoms went away when they were engaging with friends. Then they were alone, the symptoms came back. So I would address something like that in this group because we have to learn also to be a friend to ourselves, to understand what's happening when we're socially with somebody and when we're alone, and that we can create that absolute sensation of being together with someone or engaging in a friendship or a conversation alone. And this is one of the big things that we talk about in these groups. One is how to bring safety and calm when we most need it. Many of us have the knowledge. Applying and implementing is what I want to do in a possible group therapy. And I've been kind of dreaming up a way for us to do this, to practice some tools in a safe, structured, supportive space. And literally sort of meet once a week, bring our positive things that have happened that week, and then bring the things that kind of brought us down, talk about where we're stuck. So I wanted to share that with you and say maybe in a few weeks I'll talk a little bit about it on the Facebook page, but let me know if you're interested, if you'd want to join a small intimate group therapy. Otherwise, I think there's a few more questions. I'll take one more question. I think we're going to round it up. Is there a healthy way to release anger physically, like through movement or sound, without it turning into aggression? Yeah, that's a great question. It's a really terrific question. I mean, All the Rage was the first movie that ever came out. And I used to say to Michael Galinsky, like, why we call it All the Rage? So when you bring up that question about anger and rage, I mean, Dr. Sarno thought it was rage. He thought it was absolutely anger and rage. That was the suppressed, repressed feeling. And it was underneath sadness and fear. That was rage. And most of the time we're angry at ourselves. And so can you bring up the question again, Bryce, so I can finish it? I'm so in the moment here. Okay. Is there a healthy way to release anger physically, like through movement or sound, without turning it into aggression? I love this question. Why? First of all, music is so powerful for your nervous system. 2, dancing is amazing. Qigong, Tai Chi, karate, exercise. So this is an incredibly powerful way to move the aggression through. We know that. But sometimes we're replacing the aggression with something else, and then we're back in the cycle. So I would suggest, rather than doing something, just be with it. And there's a lot of research about many of us TMSers were very busy doing and not practicing being. So what if you were just aware of your aggression or anger and you just sat with it? If we just sat with it, that's one way. If you just can't sit with it, then go for a run, jump in the pool, do some push-ups, but then sit with it. Bring down the intensity, but then sit with it. And I posted something today about sitting with your feelings. And, I just want to go back to what Michael Galinsky told me about the cold shower. I mean, a lot of us are just uncomfortable with uncertainty, and we're just uncomfortable with feeling our feelings. But guess what? You can be uncomfortable and not have a physical sensation. You could just feel uncomfortable. It's like feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Let's talk more in the coming days about just feeling our feelings. We don't have to do anything with it. I've asked all the experts. There's nothing you have to do but just be with it. Yeah, I'd love you to talk in the mirror and tell yourself you love yourself. Of course, I'd love you to go for a run, but sometimes you just have to be with it. Michael Galinsky always talks about his animal. You can learn a lot from the animals, So there's a lot more to talk about. I'm going to say good night or good afternoon or good morning. I'd love to hear how you feel about the possible group therapy with Doc Tovah. Any questions that I didn't get to? Great. I'm so happy to hear that, Wendy. Any questions I didn't get to? Lay it on me. Bring them up on the YouTube, bring them up on the Facebook page. I really want to be here for you and help you. And sometimes I can't answer the heavy duty questions on the page because they're really heavy. And, we don't diagnose on the page. We don't fix you on the page. We're not doing any kind of things medical or psychological. We're simply supporting you. So that's why some of you, I'd love you to have a free discovery call with me where I can get personal with you. In that call, I'm willing to help you a little bit, give you some personal insights, get a little bit deeper with you, give you some resources. This is a much more intimate place that I can work with you. So if you ask something on the Facebook page and I'll say that I'd rather not answer this completely. I spoke to a doctor today who's going to be on the broadcast next week, a Dr. Andrea Ferlin. And, she's this amazing doctor. So I've talked a lot, and I'm really happy I heard from you, and I love hearing from you. So reach out. Have a wonderful day, a blessed day. And thank you for joining me. We have amazing shows coming up in November and December, and I really hope you'll join me here at the round table. Good night and God bless.